This week on Vaticano, follow Pope Francis as he prays a rosary for peace at the end of May, rallying international Marian shrines for the cause of peace in Ukraine and around the world. Meet the Rugamba family, founders of the Emmanuel community in Rwanda that were martyred during the Rwandan Genocide. And tune in to a screening at the Vatican of EWTN's latest docudrama, a retelling of the parable of the Prodigal Son through the lens of spiritual warfare. For this and more, Vaticano starts now.
Ave, o Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te.
At the end of the Marian month of May, Pope Francis prayed the Rosary for peace in Ukraine and around the world, in front of the statue of Maria Regina Pacis in the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome. The Pope contemplated the sorrowful mysteries of the Rosary, together with Marian shrines around the world, including the Shrine of the Mother of God in Zarvanitsia in western Ukraine. The shrines were connected by a video link and were shown on the Vatican's live broadcast. The Pope was accompanied in the Basilica by children who had recently made their first communion or received the sacrament of confirmation, as well as families from the Ukrainian community in Rome. A total of about 900 people were present, including cardinals and migrants.
Ave o Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta.
Announcing the Rosary for Peace on May the 26th, the Pontifical Council for Promoting the New Evangelization said that the Pope wanted to offer a sign of hope to the world, suffering from the conflict in Ukraine and deeply wounded by the violence of the many wars still active. Before praying the Rosary, a bouquet of white flowers brought by Pope Francis was laid at the feet of the statue, after which the Pope said an introductory prayer.
We have consecrated the warring nations to your Immaculate Heart and asked for the great gift of the conversion of hearts. We are confident that with the weapons of prayer, fasting, almsgiving, and the gift of your grace, the hearts of men and the fortunes of the whole world can be changed.
Si possano cambiare I cuori degli uomini e le sorti del mondo intero.
The Holy Father also explained in his address that he was aware that peace cannot be the result of negotiations alone, nor the consequence of political agreements alone, but above all, it is a paschal gift of the Holy Spirit. Reconcile hearts filled with violence and revenge, he implored Our Lady as he sat in a wheelchair, facing the statue of Maria Regina Pacis on the left aisle of the Basilica. The statue was once commissioned by Pope Benedict XV to ask the Virgin Mary, through her intercession, for an end to World War I.
Piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta fra le donne, e benedetto il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù.
Despite a fragile knee, Pope Francis has scheduled 3 international trips this summer and at the beginning of autumn. After visiting 2 Central African countries and Canada, Pope Francis will travel to the Central Asian nation of Kazakhstan. This year is very special for the Catholics of Kazakhstan because it marks 30 years of diplomatic ties with the Holy See. For the occasion, Pope Francis welcomed to the Vatican Mr. Mukhtar Tilioberdi, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kazakhstan, where the Holy Father confirmed once again his will to attend the 7th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, to be held in the capital of Kazakhstan in September of 2022. During the visit, Kazakhstan and the Holy See signed 2 documents to foster mutual collaboration. One is a Memorandum of Understanding between the University Medical Center of Kazakhstan and Bambin Jesu Hospital that will allow children from Kazakhstan to be treated in Rome. And the second document was one of cooperation with the Vatican Library. In addition, subject to the outcome of ongoing negotiations, the Holy See and the government of Kazakhstan look forward to signing an agreement on granting visas and residence permits to members of the Catholic Church.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Vaticano Updates, the most important news from the Holy Father and the Vatican. The Vatican responded to an attack on a church in Nigeria in which at least 50 people were killed during a Pentecost Sunday Mass. While the details of the incident are being clarified, Pope Francis prays for the victims and for the country, painfully affected, in a moment of celebration, and entrusts both to the Lord to send His Spirit to comfort them, the Vatican said. Pope Francis condemned the war in Ukraine after Russia's ongoing invasion of that country reached the 100-day mark. On Pentecost, God's dream for humanity becomes reality, the 85-year-old pontiff said. But now, 100 days after the beginning of the armed aggression against Ukraine, the nightmare of war, which is the negation of God's dream, has once again befallen humanity. An Oriental Orthodox delegation visited the Vatican. In his speech, Pope Francis spoke about the solemnity of Pentecost and the gift of Christian unity. Unity does not come about by standing still, but by moving forward with the new energy that the Spirit from the day of Pentecost impresses on the disciples, the Holy Father said. The new video message with the Holy Father's prayer intention for June focuses on families. June will be a special month for families as the World Meeting of Families will be held in Rome from June 22nd to 26th. Pope Francis has appointed Bishop Robert Barron to lead the Diocese of Winona-Rochester, Minnesota. Barron has served as an auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of Los Angeles since 2015 and is a well-known media personality. He will be installed as bishop on July 29th. Thank you for watching this week's Vaticano Updates. I'm Hannah Brockhouse for EWTN Vaticano.
How does a family respond to the death and destruction unleashed by war? A conference in Rome at the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross focused on faith and the family, highlighting the witnesses of several families that displayed heroic virtue amidst the carnage of war. One of the role models presented was the Rugamba family. On April the 7th, 1994, on the first day of the Rwandan Genocide, Cyprian and Daphros Rugamba, the founders of the Emmanuel community in Rwanda, were killed with 6 of their 10 children in their house in Kigali. In 1989, Cyprian and Daphros discovered the Emmanuel community. They met Jean-Luc Moens at one of those early meetings.
I met Cyprian and Daphros when they first came to Paray-le-Monial in France to meet the Emmanuel community. I met them there, and then the community sent me a year later to Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, where they welcomed me into their home and began a deep friendship. For 4 years, we wrote to each other every week. This was a time when there was no email, so we were sending these messages by fax.
The Rugamba family was living their life amidst rising ethnic tensions between Tutsis and Hutus. Cyprian and Daphros advocated for peace and an end to the registration of ethnicity on identity cards.
La guerre a éclaté.
The war broke out,
Et moi, c'est le moment où je suis allé là-bas.
and that's when I was in Rwanda. So, I saw Cyprian and Daphros facing the threats of bombs, mines, attacks, and I saw that they were afraid. And that is normal.
Et c'est normal. Mais ils ont vraiment mis leur...
But they really put their trust in the Lord, and they wanted to evangelize in spite of their fear. We would drive by places, and Cyprian would say, "That's where a mine has been blown up. There's a bomb that's been blown up." We would drive through the city because we wanted to evangelize. We were really doing it out of faith in the Lord, and we didn't feel like heroes. It was only afterwards that we thought, wow, that was dangerous. But it was only possible for Cyprian and Daphros to do this work because of their total trust in the Lord.
Une confiance totale dans le Seigneur.
Their commitment to bringing peace between the Tutsi and Hutu groups placed Cyprian and Daphros at the top of a list of people to be assassinated. And at the start of the Rwandan Genocide, they and their 6 children were murdered. In 2015, the causes of canonization of Cyprian Rugamba and Daphros Mukasanga were opened by Archbishop Tadei Ntianyirwa of Kigali. This is the first case of a possible beatification of someone from Rwanda. We asked Jean-Luc Moens what takeaway couples can have when looking back at the lives of Cyprian and Daphros.
Pour tout couple, il y a une espérance.
There is hope for every couple. Cyprian and Daphros went through very difficult moments during their relationship, but Daphros prayed for 18 long years for the conversion of her husband, and she finally got it. And after, they were a couple full of love and tenderness. But before, it was very difficult. In our times, many couples had difficulties. So, I would say look into the life of Cyprian and Daphros to find hope, because it is possible. With God, everything is possible.
Avec Dieu, tout est possible.
In a few short weeks, the largest meeting of Catholic families in the world will be convened in Rome. The World Meeting of Families is an opportunity for the Church to focus on the importance of the role of family life in the Church and in society at large. EWTN Vatican's Benjamin Crockett recently got married and just became a father. He spoke with Father John Paul Zeller, the Vatican Bureau's chaplain, on the role of fatherhood.
We can take for granted who we are as persons, as sons, and especially that name, that title, that privilege to be called father. You know, you just had your first child, so you have a little boy.
12 days ago.
You have a little boy now, and that title, that bestowal of a title that was given to me when I was ordained a priest. And I hear it every day so often, bless me, Father, for I've sinned, and so often when I walk through the streets, and just to hear that name, Father, it's such a privilege, and it's such an honor to be called that, and it's sacred. I have to say, I learned that first, to be a father, first of all, in being a son, in being a son of Frank and Debbie Zeller. Because if it wasn't for my own parents and in being raised in the context of a family, and them teaching me the values that they taught me, the faith that they bestowed on me, that they gave me, I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't be the son that I am, the brother that I am, and now the father that I am.
And Father, something that for me that kind of became instinctive when I had my little boy Edward is I felt all of a sudden the weight of responsibility. I felt that responsibility gave me strength, but I also felt that it gave me an added attentiveness because I am responsible and I want to protect and take care of and nurture. When you see fathers who are doing a good job, what are those qualities that they bring out?
When my brother, I remember when he said he first saw Melanie, my first niece, his first child, and he saw her face for the first time, he said, I knew my life was different. I knew everything was different. You know, just entering into priesthood in that role, a spiritual fatherhood, you have to be an active listener. You can't be passive. There's no passivity. You can't be passivity in any vocation. 75% of any good conversation is listening. It's just simply being able to listen to the other person.
Why do you think there's, in our modern society, in some way, a fear of marriage or a fear of having children?
I think a fear of responsibility, a fear of commitment, because maybe in their own lives, people have experienced brokenness. People have experienced kind of chaos, maybe in their own experience of what married life might be like. And they're afraid of that. They maybe don't want to fully commit themselves into that, and they don't know what it looks like. And that's why we need good mentors. I think in any good marriage process and preparation, besides a priest doing preparation, there needs to be good married couples that are walking along with the couple. Even 5, 10, 15 years, and even a lifetime into marriage. I've told couples that I've helped with marriage that, you know, I'm in this for good with you. You know, when I prepare you for marriage, and I told you that too. I said, I will walk with you, you know, until the day you die. Hopefully this World Meeting of Families will address, hopefully, is the need for mentors.
I've come for my son.
He's not yours to take.
EWTN's new docudrama, Speak of the Devil, Spiritual Warfare, was recently presented at the Vatican's Filmoteca. The film retells the parable of the prodigal son through the lens of a medieval family, relating the journey of the youngest son as he moves from obedient and embracing the faith to falling prey to the influence of negative people and getting drawn into sin and rebellion.
You're next. Oh, no! No, I need to go home. That's enough for me.
Come on, Paul. Stay for another.
The film's reenactments are interspersed with commentary and analysis from experts on spiritual warfare, who explain what's happening during the story on a supernatural level and point out what weapons Catholics have in our battle against the evil one. Present at the film screening was EWTN Ireland CEO Aidan Gallagher, who shared the genesis of the film.
When we were setting out to create the film some time back, we figured that life has become so busy for lots of people throughout the world, even particularly during the pandemic when things were locked down, that we were encouraging people just to take some time in their busy days to invite God into their life.
After the docudrama screening, we sought initial reactions to the film.
I thought it's a beautiful film. And it puts it within a context that's very interesting for many people to really look at the prodigal son, and especially the moment of conversion. Yeah, I mean it's a beautifully done film. It
also stood out to me the kind of linking between the actual the story itself being timeless. Insofar as, yes, it was set in a medieval Ireland, but it was also made relevant to today in our everyday journey of faith by the contribution of so many people. I particularly enjoyed the way we were accompanied throughout the actual story by men and of the church who had a great formation and being able to reach out to people at all levels of their faith preparation, because I think a lot of the time people take for granted that people are educated in the various aspects of the virtues and the vices. Perhaps once a time that was the case, but I think in today's secular society sometimes we need our memories refreshed a little in this area.
We spoke with Father Owen Gorman on the message of the film, what tools we need for spiritual warfare, and what we can still learn today from the parable of the prodigal son.
In this film, it takes the parable of the prodigal son and looks at it within the context of the spiritual warfare that is part of the Christian life. And in the heart of the prodigal son, we see the warfare. He is living at home with his family, but there is this desire for the world and the things of the world. So he asks for his father's the inheritance that would come to him, and then he spends it on the things of the world. So the devil wins that battle within his soul and draws him away from the communion of the family and the love that is there. I hope audience get out of this film a great message of hope, because listen, the spiritual battle is within all of our families. The parable of the prodigal son puts before us a family at war. The young man was at war within himself. The older brother was then at war with the younger lad. And the father himself is trying to keep the whole family together. And the dividing line is faith in Christ. And but this message is a great message of hope, because the father never gave up on his son.